everybody. Carl Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal live stream, YouTube channel and podcast. How are you today? Tudo bem? Do let me know. Yes, we are speaking more and more Portuguese on this show, and that's a good thing. And I'm about to add a link into the comments. You will see there the learn-portuguese.org link, the affiliate link to the Kickstarter freebie that will help you learn Portuguese. That was Mia Ajmirish, who was with us yesterday, and she was really popular. Loads of people have signed up for that. You can go on and spend more money and learn more Portuguese with her and her excellent products. And if you sign up with any of those, you'll be helping the Good Morning Portugal live stream as well, because we are affiliated with her. And really enjoyed talking to Mia yesterday and hoping to have her back on the show soon. This morning, in association, of course, as with every morning, with expatsportugal.com. And on that note, I should say, let's go for an early. Oh, I haven't loaded up my weather pages. Let me quickly do that. I forgot all about that in my excitement this morning with our news feature, reimagining the Portuguese economy. Okay, so let me just get my ducks in a row here. We will do weather. We will look at a number of news stories that are to do with restarting, reimagining. You know, I said before, people used to say, stop the world, I want to get off. Now they say, restart the world, I want to get back on. And we need to really, I think, look at how we're going to invest in every sense of the word in the Portuguese economy for the future. I was on Good Evening Portugal last night with our man, the pandemic pundit, Will Thompson. It was a Thompson Tuesday, and it really was the last one for a while last night. But when we began looking at the COVID-19 and the pandemic and the coronavirus, which is what was called at the beginning, it was all about containment and the medical and health angles. Last night, of course, the whole thing has opened out into all the social, economic and political implications of this. And I feel a little bit like it's two children's stories, one being the boy who cried wolf, and the other, the little boy at the emperor's procession, where the emperor has no clothes on. And I'm either I'm going to be one or the other. You know, I want to say to everybody, look, come on, the devastating consequences of this pandemic economically, we need to address that. You know, it wasn't in a great state. The economies of the Western world were pretty much, crawling along on their hands and knees before the pandemic. And now so many people, you know, this is mostly hidden from sight, isn't it? Because as I've said before, economic difficulties are felt privately and personally. I'm going to be like the, either seen as the little boy who cried wolf and everything's just going to be fine, or I will be seen as the little guy at the Emperor's Parade. You know, the economy's got no clothes on. Come on, we need to do something about this. So a few stories to give you a picture of the Portuguese economy, you know, the economies across Europe, the world even. Let's have a look at what we can do, specifically in Portugal, of course, to regenerate, reimagine, have a renaissance economically here, and get people working, you know, in decent livelihoods, enjoying a good standard of living. It is possible. It's even in the wake of this pandemic, it is possible. But I think it's going to take a little bit more imagination than some people seem to be. Well, the people who we leave the responsibility of that to, I think, are a little bit sort of bankrupt in the ideas department. And I hope to explain that to you with the news stories I've chosen. Where was I? Okay, Portugal Calling are the series of webinars that I've been working with Expats Portugal on. And we've had some great speakers, great topics. And tomorrow evening, quite a few little threads I want to tie together in this morning's show. But tomorrow, let me see if I can share this screen with you. Tomorrow is a social Portugal Calling, and let's just bring that up on the screen there. Look, Portugal Calling, excuse me, August the 27th, of course, tomorrow, 8 o'clock until 8:30. I think we might go on. No, actually, yeah, it's 8 till 9. So a little bit of a typo there, but don't let that put you off. It starts at 8 anyway. A chance to network, make new friends, ask questions. There's going to be a quiz. I think that might become a legendary quiz, frankly. A chance to join up with the community and have a little bit of fun tomorrow night with me, Astrid and Jerry on that Portugal Calling meetup, social meetup. So that should be fun. And of course, it will be followed by the Wine Club selection of Gary Austin, one of our community here tomorrow night. Let me see if I can share that with you as well. The wine that has been chosen for tomorrow evening, that would be this one. It is. Look, I'm just giving a little insight into my graphics workshop there, but it's a Pacheca Duro Rosé tomorrow night. So the fun does not stop. We will be having a social with expatsportugal.com, and then we'll move swiftly and hopefully seamlessly at 9 o'clock tomorrow evening with Gary Austin's choice of that Duro Rosé, obviously with the excellent leadership of Eloise Healy, the hiccuping headmistress. Healy will be showing us how to taste and appreciate that wine correctly, appropriately. So a few of us have thought, hold on a minute, we're not that big a fan of rosé. We're not sure if Lidl do good wine or not. That's been a controversial thing. And Gary has completely embraced that nettle and has come up with this Pacheca Duro Rosé, which I believe you can get from Lidl. And we'll be trying that tomorrow night, setting aside our prejudices about rosé and Lidl, very possibly. So onward then, let's have a look at a few of your comments this morning. Oh, Expats Portugal. Is that you, Astrid? Can't wait for tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm particularly looking forward to the quiz. I think that's going to be a hoot. No pressure, Jerry. Okay, bon dia from a dry Manchester. What? Those two words you don't often see in a sentence together, dry and Manchester, but that's a good morning from Claire and Steve. Well, long may it continue, Claire and Steve. Bon dia, hola, bon dia from an almost sunny Southampton area. This is like British weather report, isn't it? Almost sunny. FD Frank Devane. Bom dia, Carl. Obrigado por encorajar mais a língua portuguesa em nosso grupo. Very good, Frank. And I think that's a thank you for encouraging us to speak more Portuguese in this group. Go for it. And of course, that link there will be just one of the many things you could do to improve your skills, and I will be immersing myself too in that. I'm a bit of a magpie when it comes to picking at all the little bits that might help me learn Portuguese, following the tips that Mia gave us yesterday. And I'll just remind you, they were really good life lessons, if I actually can remember them all. The first one was to listen more than you talk, which is good life lesson, isn't it? Which is a bit rich, me saying that. The second, and in no particular order, second one was be kind to yourself and make slow and steady progress. And I can't remember what the other one was, but perhaps you can tell me. To just see if you were listening yesterday, test your comprehension skills and test your memory as well. Gary, the man of the moment. Bon dia. Hope I have a more stable internet signal now. Yeah, I don't know what the glitch was on the Portuguese internet yesterday. I think a few of us had some wobbles, but yeah, you seem fine this morning, Gary, and looking forward to trying your rosé. As I was promoting just now. Hola, bon dia, all from Joe Johnson. Good morning to you, Joe. And yes, can't wait for that, says Astrid from Expats Portugal for tomorrow night social. Good morning. Have been tuning in lately, listening to what's happening in Portugal. Really missed going back this summer, says Shane McCarrick. Looking into getting the ferry in the new year. Keep up the good work and all the interesting stories and details of the various events that are on. We can't wait to go back. Well, we look forward to welcoming you back, Shane. And are you going Plymouth Santander? Because I loved that route. That was our epic voyage when we came to Portugal in our camper van. Came on the ferry there and drove through Spain. It was really good fun. Enjoyed that. A real sense of occasion about that when you go that way, rather than sitting on a plane for a couple of hours. It was wonderful. It really made a great memory for our family, that little voyage that we made back in 2017. But thank you, Shane, for that. Neil Perkins, round of applause. I think that's directed in Gary Austin's direction, the Duro Rosé that we're going to be sampling. And oh my goodness, here we go. This is I'm going to regret this at some point, aren't I? Encouraging people to speak Portuguese. Não fomos a Foz de Alja ontem. Minha bomba não funcionou como caiaque. Em vez disso, sentamos na piscina inflável. Well, that's not something you're going to see in a phrase book, is it? I don't think. Although sometimes you see the most weird things in a phrase book, don't you? Like a piscina inflável is one of those phrases you might see in a phrase book. Like, excuse me, but where can I get my inflatable swimming pool repaired? I think that's the general gist of there. We went to Foz Dals yesterday. My pump is not working for my, I guess it's an inflatable kayak that Ty had. And we have an inflatable swimming pool. Sorry, I've completely messed that up. You're going to help me out there. I think I might, come on. My Portuguese is coming on gently and steadily, but I might need a translation in brackets after some of these. That looks really advanced to me, Ty. Bon dia, Carl, from a chilly and very windy Wiesbaden, Germany. My wife and I loved the show yesterday and have already signed up for the first of her classes. Yeah, she's caused quite a stir, has Mia, and I have been in contact with her subsequently, and she's very happy with you all and wants to come back and speak to you again. So think of the questions you might be asking when we bring Mia back. I would think within the next few weeks. Joe Johnson, you've used Traduca. Is that a language learning system as well? I haven't seen that one. So yes, everyone, make a note there. I think all the sources you can get and all the influences and help you can get, the more the better, frankly. So Traduca might be one of those. Actually, Rosler Santa. Okay, we're in Ireland. All right, well, that sounds even more epic. Can't fly, though, as we're immunocompromised. Okay, ferry would work well, though. Yeah, you get plenty of fresh air, social distance, wouldn't you, on a ferry there, Shane? So bon voyage to you with that. That sounds like a great trip from Rosler to Santander. And bon dia, the podcast from Mia is great. More praise being heaped upon Mia there, and the European-Portuguese.org is where you can find out more. And a link from Gianni there, who, and I think I've got that pronunciation. I used to call you Jeannie, didn't I? I think you said Gianni. We had a very quick call last night after the show, celebrating Gianni's purchase of a Portuguese property. So great to chat to you last night, Gianni, after the show. And look forward to speaking to you again soon and welcoming you to the Terra Portuguesa, if I've made a correct guess at that. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the weather there here in Portugal, just to grind the gears a little bit of those in the UK right now who are struggling with the after effects of Ellen and the full-on effect, I think, of Francis, or is that past now? Has that sort of gone out to sea? But in Lisbon today, you can enjoy 31 degrees. I'm not meaning to rub it in, but I'm just telling you how it is. 31 degrees in Lisbon today to look forward to, 21 currently. Porto, 20 degrees and sunny, and that is the current temperature, rising to 26 later today. And a lovely looking week, actually, I have to say, in both Porto and Lisbon. Coimbra, 19 degrees at the moment and sunny, rising to 31. I'm going to feel that. It's amazing how I look out of my studio window here and it's kind of overcast. Muted is the word that often comes to mind weather-wise. And then by 11 or 12, it's a beautiful, glorious sunny day. Amazing how things can change. And that's the Portuguese weather for you. You know, these variations, huge variations in temperature in any given day. Rising in Coimbra today to 31. A bit windy on Friday, just to let you know. And in Faro, cloudy at the moment, actually. It's going to be a cloudy day. 23 degrees currently, rising to 29. But a nice Thursday, Friday, Saturday to look forward to, of temperatures ranging from 33, 31 and 28 respectively on Thursday, Friday and Saturday. Let's have a look somewhere else as well while we're about it. Let's go to Viseur. Weather in Viseur, currently 19, rising to 33 today. And one other where we might not ordinarily have a look, Viana do Castelo is 20 degrees at the moment, rising to a still respectable 27 degrees today. So there you go. That's a quick look at the weather. Now I want to have a look at some of these. Let me just see. I've actually written notes today because there's so much to talk about. I think I've done everything so far. Oh no, Wednesday evenings. Good evening, Portugal. The phone-in and chat show. A slightly different vibe, of course, in the evenings to the mornings. You know, we like to keep it upbeat and light, although I'm going to be talking about the economy in a minute, so completely contradicting myself. But the upbeat, inspirational side of the Portuguese economy is what we are going to do, folks, to play our part in continuing to enjoy the wonderful quality of life in this country without the horrible economic impacts that are inevitable if we don't do something about it. I am apparently Tiesta Rocando as Portuguese. I'm rocking the Portuguese, says Frank. So thank you for that. Frank is our correspondent for the Expat Sport Report on a Friday. We have had Thompson Tuesdays. We do have a wine club on Thursdays. Now, Wednesdays, I would like to have an American co-host on a Wednesday, because I realize that at this time of day, most of our American friends, if they're in stateside, that side of the Atlantic, they're going to be asleep still, aren't they? I mean, with a rare exception, my friend Shannon listens in occasionally from Texas, while she's probably finishing off the remnants of a bottle of wine she's been enjoying. And I'm sure she won't mind me saying that. It's quite a picture I'm painting of her, isn't it? But most Americans and North Americans are going to be asleep at the moment, are they not? So it makes more sense to do a North American focused, transatlantic focused show on the Good Evening Portugal slot. I would like to find an North American co-host to join me on Wednesdays today. In the evening from 10 o'clock, where we have a Good Evening Portugal program focused stateside, transatlantic, for those people in North America who want to come over to Portugal and to make that move. So I think that's going to be a better service to them to do the Good Evening Portugal show. If you are that North American co-host I'm looking for, PM me or send me an email, carl@carlmunson.com. So let's get that show going. The stateside show on a Wednesday evening from 10 o'clock. I'll do it alone if I need to, but it'd be great to have an American co-host for that. 36 degrees. Thank you, Astrid. 36 in Marval today. Yeah, that's heat. That's some proper heat. What are you starting off at, Astrid? Are you starting off around 20, 21, 22 in the mornings? The mist clears and then a glorious 36. Let us know more. And tell me more about Marval as well. That's the other thing about the social tomorrow night. If I bring that back up onto the screen there, we're looking for people to pitch their part of Portugal. I hope you like my alliteration there. All within the networking and community angle of Expats Portugal and what we're doing with the Portugal Calling series, bringing people together, getting people to share their passion for Portugal. So another way of putting it would be to pitch your Portuguese passion. Love some people to come and join us for that tomorrow evening. And you'll have 5 minutes in which to, this is an extension of the idea we've been talking about, the unofficial ambassadors, although we're probably not going to use that term, local representatives, whatever phrase we come up with. But we know there are a lot of people who are very passionate about their particular part of Portugal and would love to talk about it, and you've got an opportunity to do that tomorrow night. So let me know as well with that what you would like to do. If you would like to come on for 5 minutes, talk about where you're at in Portugal, the population, the vital statistics of your part of Portugal, and why, most importantly, why you love being there. So it is, a bit sort of Dragon's Den, a bit pitchy like that, a bit of a business pitch, promoting your part of Portugal. But I think that could be a lot of fun and actually a really good service to other people as well who are thinking, which bit? And that's always going to be an eternal challenge, struggling away, isn't it? It's like, Portugal's awesome, but which bit do I settle in? Only using Google Translate, lol, better than nothing, I guess. Yeah, you rascal, Ty. I thought that might be happening. And an inflatable pool is no substitute for a kayak. If you do see an Englishman on the rapids in an inflatable pool, that will be Ty today. So go steady there, Ty, with that. And Astrid is saying, 22 overnight in Marval and rising to 36. We have got the chant has begun from my American co-host on a Wednesday evening. Peggy. Hopefully we'll have Peggy with us tomorrow night. Prosecco Peggy, to give her full title. So she's got fans. And she could be the one, couldn't she? We'll have to ask her. I'll get my people to ask her people. Well done, Dave and Debbie Wynell, with that suggestion. Yes, brilliant. Okay, so these news stories that I want to share with you, and as you know, it sometimes crashes the show, basically, when I add things to the screen. So bear with me if that happens. Just stick around, have a sip of your tea, which actually I should do right now. First one, the Portuguese PM has, or one of his ideas has been called a complete joke. Here he is in a rather, chilling graphic there, standing in front of a mural with a gloved hand and a masked face in these COVID times. It's a complete joke. PM in hot seat for suggesting nursing homes should recruit jobless tourism workers. I mean, you could understand why he said this, but it's not been met with a very warm reception. Prime Minister Antonio Costa is taking heat for suggesting nursing homes, daycare centres, and other social care establishments should start recruiting unemployed tourism workers. Many of the thousands of people who've lost their jobs in the tourism sector already have experience providing personal care. Yes, but not to that level, Mr. Prime Minister. With adequate training, could easily continue working with people, the PM told reporters yesterday during the presentation of the new phase of the PARES social care program, PARES social care program at the Ministry of Employment and Social Solidarity. However, the idea was quickly lambasted from many sides. The statement made by the Prime Minister is that the PM is a complete joke, said Francisco Ferreira from the Union of Hotel and Tourism Workers, the STHT. We do not have any training or ability to look after the elderly, he told Radio Renascença. The union leader said that only someone who is unaware of the hardships involved in working in social care would come up with such an idea. So it's a bit of a for the PM's idea that people could retrain from working in tourism to going into more of a more personal, on the personal touch, as it were, not to put too fine a point on it. That said, and this is, I preface this by thinking, okay, you don't like the PM's idea, but what are we going to do? Seriously, folks, there is something rolling down the hill of society, and it is not looking good. We've got to do some stuff. We got to organize ourselves to make sure, not just ourselves, but the people in our communities, the people in this society are well looked after, can work, can make a living, can look after themselves and their families and their communities. I think it's a really serious issue. You see from this particular angle that the people we look to come up with good ideas don't always necessarily do that. Your ideas, please. The lateral thinking of the hive mind of the Good Morning Portugal live stream. What have we missed that might form part of the economic recovery and turnaround of Portugal post-pandemic? So that not especially popular. And let's look for another one now. Let's go to just to paint a picture. This is what we're up against, basically. Algarve hotels lamenting the worst July ever. If I'm not making myself clear, this helps. And we have, the worst July ever. Only 32.6% of the Algarve's hotel rooms were booked last month. The worst rate ever for the month of July, according to the data from Regional Hotel Association, AHETA. Now, excuse me, I need to have a sip of tea. All right, I left you reading the article for yourself there. So let's go back to that. The hotel sector, as if we didn't know, has been, and thank you to the Portugal resident for this and the stories that I'm reading this morning. I did say, didn't I? I would stop calling them stories. They are news articles. The hotel sector has been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the British government's insistence on keeping Portugal off its travel green list. The good news is that the figure increased when compared to June, when only 11.3% of the region's hotel rooms were occupied. That is dismal, horrible. You understand why the PM is coming up with crazy ideas to turn people who work in tourism into care home workers, when this is the picture. I've worked in that setting, and if you need a job, you need a job, and that's what you'll have to do. But surely, we need to get imaginative. So that's that. Let us go then to another angle on this, and this is an interesting one, I think. Before I go to that, Sunny says, "Hi, Carl, bon dia, all. We're en route to Pedroga Grande to seek out a house." Wow. They were only here a couple of weeks ago. They're back again, folks. So many lovely places to see, so little time. That's what I was saying. We want you to pitch your part of Portugal, about which you're passionate, this is the thing. They have so many places to see in so little time. How does one choose? That is the question. You know what? We've got to write a book or something, haven't we, about this? I think people are. I think people are doing that, and it is the big question. You know, it's like it's a given. This is a great country to live in, but where? Yeah, and absolutely right. That is the question. Back to more comments later, but look, plan to reanimate spa tourism. Government creates working group. Now, here again, I'm going to share this in the spirit of like, okay, we need all the ideas we can get, but can the people who we look to take care of this be trusted, basically, with being in control of regenerating and turning around the economy? And this will make more sense when I get to the last line of this article. Plan to reanimate spa tourism. Government creates working group. Energized with the idea of promoting any and all sectors of tourism, the government has come up with a plan to reanimate spa tourism, which last year brought in 12 million euros, an increase of 15% on the year before, resulting from 39,000 clients, again, an increase of 15% on 2018's tally. The idea for a working group, essentially unpaid, but which will have travel expenses covered. You know, I'm getting the feeling I wouldn't mind being part of this working group. Researching spas with travel expenses covered sounds like a pretty good gig. To formulate winning ideas to dynamize what could be a valuable niche market. And this is Natasha Don, on Portugal resident as of yesterday, the 25th of August. Portugal boasts, did you know this, 46 active hot springs. I'm sure that includes the autonomous regions of Madeira and the Azores as well, / natural spas, hot springs and natural spas, 46 active hot springs and natural spas. And I'm hoping the part of the country where I live, you know, the Luso and Valdemar and Coria are included. Action behind. Yeah, I mean, that's poor. That's a poor show. What? So is it a marketing issue? State health service subsidies for people requiring spa treatments returned. It was always the case. Someone told me this in Korea. You know, Korea was so popular because actually doctors were able to prescribe a stay there, apparently, back in the day. This is undoubtedly, continues the article, why the sector started to show its first period of growth for almost a decade. So subsidizing state health with a visit to a spa seems to be helping. And what's not to like about that? Hopes now are that experts brought in to study the best way forwards can build on this success. So don't forget, I'm not just lecturing and reading to you here. We want your ideas, hive mind, of how the economy can be regenerated, turned around, because Portugal does have so much natural treasure and so much to offer, not just for tourists, but for people, you know, coming and living here longer term as well. For me, you know, it just makes so much sense to convert, I suppose, the traditional tourism visit of 1, 2, or 3 days to Portugal into much longer stays of a week, 2 weeks, a month, a tour. That's what we want. We want people touring the country and spending money, don't we? And people moving, second homes, first homes, bringing money into the economies and enjoying what's great about Portugal whilst not changing it too much. I mean, big challenge. For now, the working group will be made up of the Secretaries of State for Tourism, Health and Energy, alongside officials from the Health Service, Turismo de Portugal, the DGEG, the Directorate General of Energy and Geology. Wow. Doctors Association, National Association of Portuguese Municipalities. Can you imagine? This is going to be quite an entourage, isn't it? The Association of Portuguese Spas and the Portuguese Society of Medical Hydrology and Climatology, and representatives from the Good Morning Portugal and Expats Portugal communities. Only joking. I made that last bit up, but wouldn't it be great if we joined those illustrious bodies and people on this tour to give them some ideas about how to regenerate the country and its economy from a spa and tourism point of view? This is what bothers me, though. Okay, this is the last line of the article. The group will be expected to deliver its first report in 6 months' time, and then a final one between August and September of 2021. Now, I know these things take time, okay? Touring the country, trying spas take times, rightly so. But come on, you know, we are in the middle of a post-pandemic economic crash, and we need some answers a bit quicker than that, and probably, you know, not just big fat reports of like, well, you could do this, you could do that. We need some action, don't we? And I'm not meaning to be divisive or finger pointy or judgmental or anything. I do see this as our collective issue, and widening the debate. I think the expats have got a lot to add to this, with their unique, different view of the country. And the expats I know, I mean, there's a few whingers and moaners as you're going to get in any area of humanity, but the expats who here love this country and love so many of the things about it and want to celebrate and share those things. That to me is a massive economic powerhouse, waiting to be discovered, tapped, utilized, exploited, however you want to put it. Okay, so that's enough of my rant about that. And an absolute drought of ideas in the comments about what we do. Are we just in a collective shoulder shrug here of like, okay, post-pandemic economic crash, I don't know, or are we going to roll our sleeves up and sort of get involved and get active about this, or just like, that was the way I was putting it before, right? Are we going to be ostriches, or are we going to be meerkats about this? And I understand it's human nature to be an ostrich, like, economic problems coming, I'll just stick my head in the sand and hope everything's okay. I don't think we can do that, folks. I think we have to be meerkats. What are the opportunities? What can be done here? So Gary's response to Sunny here is, Sunny, resist the urge to get too much land. Things grow like mad over here. Really, really good piece of advice from Gary. You might spend the rest of your life and retirement trying to tame nature. What looked like, wow, I can get 100 hectares of olive grove at a bargain price. Like, repent at leisure with that one. That is such good advice, Gary. Resist the urge to get too much land. You can probably get more later from a neighbor, although that has its challenges as well. But seriously, he's absolutely right. Go steady on how much land and work, basically, that you'll need to do if it's not your area of expertise. Becoming a homesteading smallholder is a difficult thing to do overnight. So be modest in that regard. I think that's great advice, Gary. Really, really good. I'd work in an old elderly person's home if they would take me. Yep. So jobs, situations wanted there. If you have an old folks home job around central Portugal, Ty is open to that. Happy to help there. This lovely big message just basically shows off my bald head as I hide behind it from Janny. A great idea here in Belgium. Perhaps something for Portugal lakes, picnic and boating. The package includes electric boat rental, life jackets, picnic basket, the electric boat. Enjoy sailing together on the... This is like promoting Belgian tourism here, but we could nick the idea. The canal runs from Cooksidju. I hope I pronounced that correctly. There's no real easy way of saying that. To the city of Vurne. Among others, you can enjoy a delicious picnic in between sailing. You do not need a license for this electric boat. It's easy to drive, comfortable, and what is also very nice, it's and then it disappears. But I guess the rest of you can see what that comment says. Sounds like a big fat jolly to me, it says Neil Perkins, somewhat more cynically than me, I have to say. What are your ideas, Neil? What should be done? You're an entrepreneurially minded guy. A bit like the corporate trips and lunches back in the day. Yes, okay. So Neil may have seen right through that little ruse. I see many opportunities in the personal services industry for Portuguese who speak English. Find services that newbies to Portugal would be interested in. Personalize those services to their needs. Be the local expert. Yes, Frank, good idea. Here we go. We've got ideas coming in now. This is great. And this will continue. This isn't going away or going anywhere. This is our unfolding reality. And what I'm suggesting is that we get involved. Busy turning around the economy of Castanheira de Pera, working on the Come and Live in Castanheira de Pera video. Yes, Pete, he's a hardworking man. And that's in there lies a pretty good kind of insight and tip, I think. Is to make it local, keep it local. And stick to a small area, or that is being promoted, that the locals really own and know and love and share, rather than I mean, I understand how this works. There has to be a tourism Portugal that basically recommends the whole country, but on a local level, we could all be taking responsibility for where we live in our particular part of Portugal, and singing its praises, attracting tourism, attracting settlers to the area. So let me just have another quick sip of tea. Excuse me. Yeah, got a bit carried away there. Made my voice a bit sore, I think, with my ranting about the post-pandemic economic crash. Nice and upbeat this morning. Thanks with the land grab point. Yes, it can. That's a good way of putting it. It's like, all this land will be mine, and it's a bargain. I'll take it. Lots of land is very seductive. I have ideas that I'm going to be able to potter happily amongst the vines. The reality is I can't manage potted tomatoes. That is a really good realization, Sunny. Thank you so much for making that. It's so true. A lot of people with aspirations. I mean, and this relates to the spa industry, doesn't it? And I think it's fair to say it's a bit of a standing joke among the older expats and settlers in Portugal to see yet another retreat center opening up that's going to be offering Reiki. And I've not got anything against these things. I'm a massage therapist myself, by training back in the day, and an incorrigible new ager. So don't get me wrong, I'm all for it. But you tend to see, don't you, in some groups, like, oh, yet another rural retreat opening up that's going to be running workshops and Reiki blessing organic vegetables. And you think, how on earth is that going to survive? And I wish them all the best of luck. I never pee on anyone's chips in that department. I think it's wonderful when people try things out. And you have to be a little bit realistic, don't you, about what people are actually going to want in terms of market research, what people are used to, how much they can be stretched into a new concept and idea that they'll part, with some cash for. So it could all be part of that same conversation, couldn't it? That jolly, as Neil puts it, is, that I suspect with all these rural retreats in central Portugal that have opened up, that Reiki bless organic vegetables and cook you up a nice supper. And then, you go for a kayak down the river or whatever, or go to a river beach. I imagine there's quite a network in all of that. And they probably need a little bit of help with marketing, don't they? And tailoring their business to the actual market need. Therein lies, an opportunity as well, is well-meaning projects that maybe just need to be tweaked a little bit to the market reality, for one thing. So that, that introduction of realism, and of course, yes, this other thing of, as Sunny is pointing to there, is the wannabe homesteader who comes to Portugal thinking that they can suddenly start harvesting and olives and making olive oil, single estate organic olive oil. And they can't even, as Sunny puts it there, look after a pot plant. Manage that transition steadily, folks, and realistically, I guess is the thing to say. I never thought I would sound like such an old fart, basically, because I have been that bright-eyed and bushy-tailed settler. What happened to me? Ty says, wherever we go, we see opportunities for tourism and leisure. We often say, if this was the UK, then there would lots more on offer. But do people have the money to spend? Yeah, this is it, isn't it? It is a sort of an economic vicious circle. That you need the money to spend in the first place, don't you, in order to develop and attract things where the money is spent. So that has to start somewhere, doesn't it? And traditionally, I suppose we've looked to governments to do that. I'm just so suspicious of that as a long-term strategy, as I'm sure you know. But I agree with you, Ty. I mean, you do go around Portugal, don't you, thinking, well, if this was England or if this was the UK, it might be done like this. And obviously Portuguese people know better about Portugal than anyone else, and perhaps, they might benefit from a few new ideas as well. But you have to tread that path very carefully, don't you? And can you imagine what Americans think who come to Portugal? And there's an entirely different service culture. In America, everything would be a visitor center, wouldn't it? It's like, the world's biggest cork center, or everything will be turned into a visitor experience using the American model, somewhat so with the UK model, and then so much more understated and wonderful in Portugal and with the Portuguese culture. What is the hybrid? What is the biting point and the appropriate thing for Portugal that's not the full-on visitor center, but isn't the understated thing that if you drive past and you blink and you miss it? I wonder. Thank you for that, Ty. Good insight. Dealing with British tourists who are often unconscious, not in control of their bodily functions, and are totally unpredictable seems like a good starting point to a career in social care to me. And that is a particular stereotype of a British tourist, which we cannot deny, Gary. And you make a very good and funny point there. I guess in many ways, you've only got to look at the Manchester United squad for a little bit of an insight into that. And more B&Bs than trees. Is that is that an insight into what is happening here, Jenny, at the moment? Is that there are too many B&Bs, possibly, or too many people wanting to start an Airbnb or a guest house, and not really understanding the market? You'll have to tell us more on that, but you'll have to tell us more in the future, because I'm going to conclude there. This will continue reimagining the Portuguese post-pandemic economy. We're going to have to be really smart with this, aren't we? And we're going to have to keep our head out of the sand with this. And I know it's tempting, isn't it? It's to just think, oh God, no, I just don't want to think about that. But we're all gonna feel the pain of that. If some of us feel the pain of that in local communities, joblessness and poverty, that's bad for everybody ultimately. So I think we have to embrace it collectively. And as Pete, I think, is doing in Castanheira de Pera, start locally, see what the local assets are, celebrate them, promote them, and get some dollar turning over and coming in, just get some money spent and changing hands. That's where it begins, right? The Portuguese culture is that they don't need to spend a lot of money. They want a barbecue, lots of food, wine and beer, maybe a lake or river, and lots of family and friends about. They often make their own fun without spending a fortune. And that's what we love, isn't it? That's what we love. And how do you, with that culture, how can you make sure everyone is still looked after, has a job, has a livelihood with that? And I suppose we have to move away probably from the idea I'm talking about, where just like pouring money on things is not the only way of doing things. Maybe another part of this is that we all limit our aspirations, and we're not so much based on consumption. But I think that's the idea, isn't it? I love that picture you paint there, Neil, that is low level consumption, isn't it? That's about lifestyle, and not much money needs to change hands for a beautiful life based on that sort of ethic. And maybe that's what we need to celebrate and preserve, as a way of life. And or maybe promote that as the great thing about Portugal is that it's not about spending massive amounts of money and a massive consumer experience. It's quite modest and understated and natural. I'm going to leave it there, because that is actually what I love about the place. As you can tell today, I'm not thinking out loud. I'm worried about the future for us collectively. And that is a really good point, Neil, that you make there, is that it's so important to preserve that and showcase that, actually. So really good point there, sir. Community, not consumption, is the perfect place to end the show with your comment there, Shelley. So thank you for that. Yeah, community, not consumption, is where it's at for the longer term, right? So tourism isn't going to go anywhere. And I guess we'll see what happens there. But community is just a must-have, isn't it? It's an area we must develop and strengthen those bonds between ourselves locally. Will, that was going to be the last comment, Shelley, but Will snuck in now. I read once, Portuguese spend more time eating together and enjoying company than anywhere else. Yes, thank you for that, Will. And Ty, except that financially we live in poverty but are content. And it's all relative, isn't it? Will was making this point last night, that as hard done by as we think we might be, the kind of people watching this show right now are actually pretty well off in the whole global scheme of things. And perhaps we could, as you say, their tie, except that financially, it may not be like it was in the old days, but to focus more on our contentment and quality of life than the big turnover of money and the consumer type of society. Maybe that's what we're witnessing the end of. What a poignant and brilliant note to end the show on today. I'll leave it there. And I'll leave that on the screen there. Community, not consumption. Very nice, Shelley. Very nice. We'll commend that to governments everywhere around the world and the people of the world. Thank you so much for joining me today. See you tomorrow, where we will be joined by Martina of the School Beyond Limitations. It's going to be interesting talking to Martina tomorrow about this idea. This is an online school for people whose families travel a lot, for sports people, actors, actresses, blended families, separated families, highly talented students. This is a way for people to continue learning in an inspired and innovative way online whilst traveling. Very, very appropriate to the nomad way of life. So we'll look forward to that tomorrow. Take care. Bye for now. Beijinhos, abrazos, hasta luego. Hasta la próxima. Te amanhã.